Hello, everyone. This is, as Amy said, the third installment in a three-section video. The other two installments have listed a number of reasons why this construct, why this organization and this technology are deemed necessary and appropriate at this point in time in humanity. That said, this discussion will be comprehensive in terms of the social movement engine process, technology, operational dynamics, organizational requirements, and how it is implemented in the world. And we will be discussing it from one end to the other, so to speak. Please do feel free to ask any questions you have anywhere along the way. We want to be helpful. We want to answer people's questions. We want to be facilitative. And the questions that you might have will be informative for others. And you can ask questions at any time along the way. You won't be interrupting. If we could go to slide 2. Would you folks feel free to comment in the chat room about how you feel about how the world is challenged at this time? Your perception in brief terms. Where you feel the pain is in the world, where you feel the suffering is in the world, where you understand the world to be in this moment of human evolution and development. This picture that's on the screen at this time is expressive of transformation in our world, the process of transformation that we're all going through as a species, and the transformations that the world is going through ecologically, and in terms of our effect as human beings on the global ecosystem. We are hoping that through the effort of the social movement engine that we can bring about a transformation of humanity rather than either revolution or collapse or pain or suffering or continued competition or war or further terrorism or economic strife. We feel that proactive, preemptive action on our part as a human population is necessary and that it must occur in very well organized ways, very efficient, very effective, very well orchestrated strategically in order to have the necessary optimal effect in the world that we need in the near term. The construct that we're about to describe, we're suggesting can be implemented within the next 2 to 4 years. In its entirety, and that if it is implemented in its entirety, that it can have substantive effect globally. It is a mechanism of integrated effort and collaboration designed to operate at a global scale to bring nations and for-profit and not-for-profit organizations, universities, research institutions, and think tanks into a seamlessly collaborative environment, and to integrate and synthesize the information and knowledge bases of all of those parties and stakeholders in a constructive way to develop strategies for transforming our world, for healing our natural world, healing our global populations, and for constructing a comprehensive new way of life for humanity that is actually feasibly, practically sustainable with current resources and based upon the current global situations that we're facing in terms of climate change, pollution, competition between nations, ignorance within cultures as to the bigger picture, and our current realized incapacity as a species to work together for various reasons, some of them just a habit of traditional competition rather than unconscious and destructive and corrosive competition rather than collaborative, constructive, and conscious life process and working together to achieve collective goals. So this process that is described in this screen of moving from a caterpillar into the cocoon stage, where the caterpillar literally turns into a liquid before it is transformed fully into a completely new form of life, a butterfly, is how we perceive the transformational process of humanity being required to occur in the near future. meaning that as far as we understand, in order for us not to further damage our planet and for us to survive as a species with our current population, there must be a phenomenal amount of transformation that occurs culturally, economically, politically, socially, and that is achievable. And in order for it to be achieved in a well-orchestrated, well-organized way, there must be an integrative mechanism. There must be some way of weaving together all of the efforts of humanity into strategies that are doable, workable, acceptable to various global populations, and that will serve all of humanity as equals rather than having the continuance of the haves and have-nots. So that, having stated all that as preamble, we're going to dive into the process. Next slide. So our current optional global transformational shift, if it's done in a transdisciplinary manner, meaning many different types of expertise integrated into solution strategies that are workable, will include the top middle box of computers, internet technology, artificial intelligence, all sorts of new future technologies and sciences, including genetics and things like smartphones, etc. The second box, bottom right, we've got the capacity to evolve traditional systems of governance, leadership, governmental institutions, processes, political systems, judicial systems, educational, economic, and social and cultural systems, even policing systems, and to utilize the incompletely honored will of the people, collectively of the entire planet, in a well-organized way. So that evolution will need to occur, and it will be best guided by humanity, not merely by existing systems of governance and leaders in the world. Last bubble on the left, the social movement engine, social and cultural technologies that we're going to be developing, along with delivery systems and support systems and implementation infrastructures, can work together. The existing technology, the existing systems of governance and leadership, and the social movement engine can work together in a strategic way, in an integrated way, guided by, hopefully, love, compassion, wisdom, courage, spirit, conscious collaboration, and the highest expressions of the human heart. We see these as core to that achievement of the transformation of the species life process of humanity, and a necessary have to rather, or need to rather than wished for kind of unfolding scenario. We can't evolve and develop without technology, and we can't evolve and develop without transforming the current human life process into a sustainable form. And we can't do all of that unless we have a mechanism that weaves together all of those existing capacities and simultaneously transforms them, sort of caterpillar into butterfly, into a far more functional and cohesive fabric of humanity that is not conflicted, is not unbalanced, is equal, does involve the fair distribution of resources and technology and support and education to bring about this collective orchestrated transformation. I apologize for all of this yammering. Do you have questions at this time, anyone?
I have a question.
Please.
Will we be sharing this technology to be involved in all of these various things we're doing? I mean, will any programming be distributed?
Anything and everything that is an output of the social movement engine process will be made freely available to everybody. I don't know if that's an answer to your question, meaning that whatever's developed, if it is a solution, as soon as it is a fully baked solution, so to speak, that has arrived at the level of maturity and usability that is actually going to be functionally applicable in the world, it will be made available to anybody and everybody for free in a real-time manner.
Yes, that answers the question. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, and thank you. That's an excellent question. Other questions or comments, folks? Then let's go on to the next slide. So the global transformational shift occurring via the effect of the social movement engine, which we are going to describe in great technical and organizational and operational detail further on in the discussion, is going to require bringing all levels of the world's societies into harmonious orchestrated union. That is feasible today with today's technologies, computer technologies, etc. That said, we need new social technologies, meaning new collaborative technologies and new methods and techniques and support infrastructure to help existing populations in different nations with different backgrounds, histories, and culture and traditions to smoothly interweave their capacities and their populations' efforts into orchestrated strategies of transformation for the world. In order for that to happen, we've got to contemplate this situation at a scale and level of complexity and multidimensionality that has not occurred on our planet previously. The concept of transdisciplinarity, meaning bringing all the different disciplines, computer science, data science, genetics, social sciences, economics, political science, all together in an integrative way in order to develop strategies that will solve previously unsolvable problems and bring about support for transformations that were previously not feasible globally, either for economic reasons, technological reasons, or social challenges or cultural reasons. So it is important that this occur, and it is important that it occur in the near term. This transformational model is not currently being accomplished by any existing human organization or technological system that we're aware of in the present moment. And it's certainly not, if it is, it's certainly not being globally distributed. So the social movement engine will be creating a global commons, meaning an environment in which any nation and any subunit of any nation, any governmental institution, any for-profit or not-for-profit organization or university or research institution can work together to generate strategies of transformation and evolution for our planet collectively, not operating as disparate, fragmented, non-aligned nations to work together intelligently and constructively and in ways that will benefit everyone in equal measure. That will require evolution of the traditional systems of development and governance globally and within each nation. We stated before that would require new types of leadership, new kinds of government institutions, and transformations of existing government institutions. The social movement engine will be a global collaboration hub for orchestrated efforts and an integration point for knowledge, experience, expertise, skill, resources, and shared understandings can be generated from that integration of all of those resources that then people can benefit from and will be distributed again for free globally. The social movement engine is a social movement management hub, meaning there are many social movements in our world that have done great good in our world. The Black Lives Matter movement, the hashtag Me Too movement, and perhaps thousands of others have had the benefit that they have had. This mechanism would be designed to facilitate and support existing social movements and to resource them financially and in terms of organizational support in order to catalyze their efforts and magnify their power, their transformative power in the world, and also to start and initiate new social movements that had not ever existed in the past that are transformational in nature. This whole mechanism is designed to be apolitical, not affiliated with any political system nor any particular ideology or philosophy. Its ideology and functioning philosophy would be arrived at in an integrative way via inputs from all participants and evolved constantly. The social movement engine will also be a global transformational effort management system. And after it generates initiatives, it will facilitate their orchestrated management and ensure their alignment with each other in terms of being able to effect the strategies that the social movement engine generates as a byproduct of its research and development efforts. The integrated and centralized global collaboration environment and support data will allow collaborative effort to occur efficiently and effectively. And we're going to discuss what we mean by that in detail very quickly here. It will be a global mechanism for weaving together nonprofit and for-profit efforts, governments, into a seamless, ongoing collaborative process. It will be a logistical resource distribution hub. It will be a global solutions creation and distribution hub. And it will be a global research and development hub and a centralized educational system for distribution of educational materials globally for free to anybody that would benefit from that information. It will also be a center for learning. So distribution, learning, as well as receiving information from universities and research institutions so that that data and understanding can be integrated in a central place for global planning and strategizing for solutions creation and global transformations. Next screen. Currently, the social movement engine is envisioned to have 3 basic levels, and each level has its main capability and task or role. Starting at the bottom, we've got level 1, global inputs from on-the-ground users. By on-the-ground users, we may mean the person in the street from any nation, any culture, any people, giving their ideas, giving their statements of what the pain and problems that they're enduring in the world are about, what they're experiencing, and what they would like to see change in the world for the better, what they feel the issues are and what they feel the solutions are. So in a way, this is a vote collection system, not in the traditional sense of voting on a topic as much as anybody from any walk of life at any level of society in any nation being able to communicate key information that will inform development of solutions and development and implementation of solutions strategies. So this information will arrive to the system and will be anonymized, meaning that if somebody is in an oppressive country, and if they were to openly state their opinion or their feelings, they would be punished or sanctioned for doing so. In this system, the information would be derived and would be anonymized so that it could not be tracked back to them. So people would have the option of speaking freely and honestly and integrously. We're not suggesting that this system would only receive integrous information. It's quite possible that different organizations would attempt to falsify or the information or add misinformation into the system. We get that, and we're strategizing for that preemptively. There will be high security for the entirety of the system. So again, to minimize the potential for it to either be hacked, damaged, or dismantled, or rendered incapable, we're hoping to minimize that potential. At the level 1 section of this diagram on the right side, we've got the potential for information to come from not-for-profits, research information from not-for-profits or from research institutes or from subject matter experts in addition to the person in the street. So anybody would be able to give their 2 cents, so to speak, as to when, where, how, and why they feel the world needs to change, could change, should change, or they would prefer that it change. And that information would be collected and stored in an artificial intelligent database that's located at we're calling it level 2A. Level 2 has two sections. It has a data acquisition section and data management section, and that data then will feed the development of strategies and solutions, and it will be a collaborative environment where people can work together with that data. World leaders could come together, so to speak, at that level. Researchers could come together at that level. Philanthropists, research institutions, not-for-profits, subject matter experts, change agents globally could work at that level and have access to all of this information, along with access to inputs from any think tank in the world, any research institution in the world, any philanthropical institution that had collected data or information or had ideas. All of that this would be an integration point for all of that. Once all of that information had been discussed, worked through, analyzed, collaborated upon, that information would be turned into proposed strategies and solutions of all kinds, whether it's a technological solution to a problem or a resource solution to a problem, meaning adding money or adding medicine or food, water, shelter to any particular cultural venue. That strategy would be designed at this level, and it would be handed off to level 3, the global strategy and solutions delivery, facilitation, and implementation level. At this level, the world leaders, governments, collaborating corporations, implementers, project managers, WSS facilitators, meaning folks that have been trained to help people learn to work together as collaboratively, peacefully, and intelligently and efficiently as possible, would be there to help these folks to implement those solutions and strategies anywhere in the world. So this level would be informed by each of the lower levels. There's a ripple effect upward from the person in the street or not-for-profits or subject matter experts that is then turned into strategies and solutions. Those strategies and solutions are handed off to level 3. Level 3 would be implementing those on an ongoing basis and would be monitoring the results of those implementations. That monitoring process and evaluation of the implemented solutions and strategies would feed back into all levels of this system, meaning all 3 levels are designed to change, evolve, learn, and morph and transform as the world changes around us and as it learns from its attempted implementations of solutions and technologies and application of resources in the world. So this is a very highly integrated system. It's designed to be very efficient and effective. It's designed to give voice to all of humanity, to empower all of humanity, to have a say in the direction that the world goes, to not be guided by the rich and powerful and not be guided or informed only by governmental information or decision-making, and to not be guided by a few loud voices or special interests, and not be guided by those who have behind-the-scenes power, and to include everybody's perspectives in order to suss out or arrive at optimal solutions, optimal strategies, and optimal ways of implementing those solutions and strategies in the world. Now, I get that this is a big vision. I get that it's complex. I get that the world as a whole is not operated in this way. The United Nations is not as wonderful as it is, and UNESCO and the World Health Organization, as wonderful as they are not designed to do this. They are currently limited by pre-existing structural limitations, the capacity for a handful of powerful nations to veto any evolutionary or transformational strategy that would be global in nature, if it didn't serve their individual nation's well-being or purposes or agendas. This organizational model and technological infrastructure and operational support structure and associated personnel would be designed to operate completely independently of any limitation that currently affects UNESCO, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, et cetera, to be able to cross borders without significant limitation, and to have effect that has not been feasibly accomplishable within our current global infrastructure and set of existing institutions and social dynamics and political systems. Might I ask, are there any questions up until this moment? Next slide. So the level 1 that we just looked at, the voting level, is designed to do the following. It would have a social movement support team, meaning that at that level, if social movements were created and organized and managed and resourced and facilitated, there would be a team of teams at that level that would accomplish that support and that management and that facilitation. And a lot of social movements are not empowered simply because the people in the social movement don't have technological knowledge, or they don't have computers, or they don't have a way to operate in an orchestrated collective way. And this level of this organization would give them that administrative, coordinative, and managerial capacity that they have lacked, which has kept them from having the necessary requisite positive effect in the world that they otherwise would have. The Black Lives Matter social movement at this time has had effect, and thank heaven. And there are many other oppressed or limited sections of societies around the world that don't have a voice. And amidst the roar of today's political and social issues and problems, including COVID-19, are the social movements that are in operation being drowned out by the background drama and noise? And if so, what happens to their message? What happens to their effect in the world? How do they arrive at resolution of the pain and suffering of those they're designed to support? We're hoping to offer them the necessary support, resources, technology, and administrative capacity that would allow them to come to total fruition globally, if that's optimal for them to do so, and to do so in a way that's orchestrated with perhaps a dozen or 50 other social movements in the world, so that they are empowered, and simultaneously so they can share resources, they can work together as collectives rather than having disparate intentions that are not aligned into a larger orchestrated strategy, and thus they have minimal effect. There's minimal transformation in the world, and we continue on as we have in the past, the same trajectory, so to speak, burning fossil fuels, heating the planet, creating pollution, remaining competitively oriented rather than collaboratively, and not learning or evolving as a species in optimal ways that we could learn and evolve if we had a support infrastructure to bring that about. The internet is a fantastic support infrastructure for global learning, and it does not generate this solution or this capacity to create solutions. We recognize that we don't, the social movement engine folks and the WSS, we don't know it all, we don't claim to. What we are working to do is to create a bucket to collect all of the answers in. We do recognize that those answers are out there. There needs to be an integrating collection point for that knowledge, expertise, information, and resources, and a delivery system for all of those capacities. So the teams that operate at this level, level 1, would have access to all required data from all participants in all social movements. They would have access to the raw data from all of the people who had offered their ideas, concepts, complaints, or votes from all nations and cultures. Once the information was anonymized, they would be able to derive statistics from that. They would manage that data and interact with the people on the ground, offer them educational reflections. If people say, I've got this problem, I don't know how to fix it, they could offer educational information that would help them to fix it. If they were to say, I have this issue and this problem, and I want to be part of a larger group that's affiliated with this intention or with this hoped for change in the world, then they could be connected. So if we're all 6 degrees of separation in our world, this mechanism, the social movement engine, is designed to bring that down to 1 degree of separation or even 0, so that anybody can connect with and collaborate with and work with constructively anybody in a well-organized, effective, efficient way that is aligned with the well-being of all of humanity, that does solve problems, that does generate a sustainable way of life for all of humanity. This level of the social movement engine generates educational materials that are then distributed for free, and ongoing situational information for grassroots social movement participants to be informed by, to help them understand what effect their social movement is having in the world and how they can shift and change their decisions and actions and apply their resources most efficiently in order to bring about the goals that their social movement is attempting to generate in the world. So this allows for global coordinated world transformational efforts to occur. So this level of the system educates, coordinates, motivates, and mobilizes humanity in a sustainable way. A lot of social movements are simply not sustainable. This mechanism would allow for them to be sustained, to give them a far more efficacious life cycle, to bring about greater change in the world, to last longer in their efforts, to be heard better, and to connect them with the underpinnings of the power structure of the world, to connect the wealthy and the powerful with the people in the street, so to speak, intelligently in a very effective and efficient way, so that positive constructive change can and does occur. So this social movement engine level would align social energies on important global issues and operates as a communications and coordinated effort hub, a transformational effort hub, and a conscious community building hub, meaning an output of this entire social movement engine is to generate conscious community globally. That is its intention. It's wonderful that people work together. If they don't do so with conscious wisdom and discernment and clear understanding of the meaning and implications of their efforts in the world, then we're likely to get more of what we've gotten in the past. If we continue doing what we've done in the past, we'll get more of what we've received from having done so. More global warming, more pollution, more conflict, more competition, more pain, more suffering. So this level of the social movement engine is the reception point for participants' intentions, or their votes, however we would describe it or label it, how they want the world to change for themselves and for their children. What kind of world do they want to generate or create for their children? This level of this organizational model will create a mirror for all of humanity to see itself in, to see what's really happening in the world accurately and precisely and in real time and constantly updated, not spun, not agenda-ified, not politicized, not manipulated, and not colored or modified or distorted by special interests. And all of this raw data will be available in anonymized form transparently to anybody that wants to see it for free. So this entire mechanism will be transparent from the moment of its inception throughout all evolutions of its life cycle. And that degree and quality of transparency is vitally important in today's world, considering the degree and amount of misinformation that is out there today. There must be some clear, pure, accurate, true signal that goes out to people that tells them, if I make this choice, I will likely get this good quality result. If I make this choice in my life, I will bring about this constructive future for myself and my children and for the natural world. So this will be a distribution point for information as to how social movements and individuals can effectively redesign and rebuild and transform our world and fully manifest new transformational support infrastructures globally at all levels of all societies. By that, we mean the current global set of institutions are kind of designed to keep the status quo in place. They're not designed to transform our world into a new sustainable life process for the entirety of our species in such a way as to ensure that we don't damage the environment further. So there must be new institutions created, new infrastructures globally. And those institutions and infrastructures must be designed to work together efficiently and effectively in such a way as to generate a new process of life that is sustainable for global humanity. If that does not occur, it is likely that we will fall backward as a species and as societies into less functional states. Meaning if we don't use the dwindling resources we have now to transform into a new life process, species-wide, globally, then it's quite possible that we'll run out of resources and then start just fighting over the dregs of what's left over, whether that's fossil fuels or nuclear materials or specialized materials that are used to create new batteries or any other type of fuel or energy source or technology. If we go into that mode because we chose not to operate collaboratively, then we will potentially tear ourselves to pieces as fragmented, disparate, disorganized nations and peoples, rather than coming together constructively and collaboratively in a peaceful way, in a conscious and discerning way, and in a way that does generate, based upon time and resources, a new life process for all of humanity that will work. This level of the organization will receive negative data. People might say, I hate this, I hate that, I wish these people didn't exist. Those are expressions of emotion which are natural and normal. They're not wrong. We're not saying they're wrong or bad. They will be informing to this process, and will all will be listened to. The inputs of everyone will define the data that is fed up to the level 2 solutions and strategy development users to inform them of global and local situations and to help them define optimized solutions and solutions implementation strategies that will then be fed up to level 3. Would you go to the next screen? This is what we envision level 1 to function as in this moment. Within the social movement engine, organizational and technological infrastructure, we've got the bullets on the left side or the boxes on the left side. So there would be many different capacities that would be available to the people that are working within the social movement engine. And all of these on the left would be fed, the data that would inform them would be fed in at the level 1 from all of the different inputs from people in the street, research institutions, governments, or not-for-profits. So there would be a climate change management modeling system, a global database of level 1 user inputs and of known problems globally, an engine for understanding cultural dynamics and transforming and modeling cultural dynamics that would take into account all the different dimensions of human life, ideologies, philosophies, religions, spirituality, create new cultural paradigms and processes of facilitating those new cultural paradigms into existence. There would be a database of prior solutions and solution strategies that had been created and had postmortems done on, evaluations of what did and did not work that would be utilized as a constant process of learning for the overall solutions social movement engine process. There would be a communication center and tailored education management engine that would be AI fed to offer free education to anybody anywhere based on any topic that they were looking for. If you could imagine Wikipedia on steroids. There would be intra and intergovernmental working profiles available for anybody to access in terms of raw information for decision making, understanding, learning, and for development of social movements. There would be social movement strategy modeling and ongoing social movement management capacities or an engine for those purposes. There would be a logistics modeling engine, meaning how to get resources to particular cultural or national or international venues in effective, efficient ways. There would be a resource inventory database, human resources, technological resources, corporate, for-profit and not-for-profit corporate resources, existing solutions, human expertise, of course, and existing methods and techniques for solutions creation. There would be a statistics and data science engine that would be deriving all sorts of necessary understandings from the inputs from level 1 person in the street contributions. There would be transdisciplinary research databases that would be available to everyone at that level of the organization. There would be facilitators trained by the WSS organization, World System Solutions, that would help to interface and interact with the people that sent in their contributions at that level in order to ensure that they felt understood, recognized, validated, and that they got the kind of feedback from this system that's necessary for them to validate their participation with it, and to validate and recognize and help them understand the effect that their votes and contributions had made. So this entire system is completely, constantly transparent. Then people in the street who put in an idea and said, I think my nation needs to change this way, or the world needs to change this way, they would be able to track the effect of their input into strategies and solutions creation, and then into strategies implementation in the world, and see the results of their contribution. So that entire process would be open and transparent to anyone that wanted to understand their power, the effect of their power, their vote, their ideas, their concepts, their contributions in the world. So in the middle, in the blue bubble, we've got the processing and integration of this grassroots information and the grassroots education capability. This would be a communications hub to all of those people. It would support collaboration, and it would be facilitated. It would motivate funding for social movements, as well as for generation of solutions and solution strategies, and for implementation of those solutions and solution strategies in level 2 and 3. It would align intentions and people in various nations to work together, to get on the same page, to be operating from the same sheet of music, to align their efforts, their ideas, their expertise, their capacities, and their energies in larger strategies. So they wouldn't have to understand everything in order to serve in the world and to make the world a better place. And whatever they did contribute would be maximally applicable and maximally applied and most constructively applied in the world. On the right side, we've got remote and real-time interactive collaborators, contributors, and resources. Again, research institutions, think tanks, universities, etc. In essence, this social movement engine would be willing to work with anybody in order to create and generate any effective, useful goal or strategy or transformational result in the world. As it learned and became far more sophisticated in its function and capacities, it would do a far better job of that. And the more people are brought online with it, the smarter it gets, the faster it operates, and the more capable it becomes of weaving together the capabilities and power and resources and knowledge bases of all people in the world and all institutions in the world. We did a workshop, if you see in the top in the middle, scenario Bangladesh flooding. Bangladesh is currently envisioned to flood sometime in the next 30 years to be underwater due to global warming. That's a large scale project to resolve the migration of those peoples to other nations. We went through a workshop to discuss how the social movement engine construct could support that specific real world issue. And we're contemplating doing the same for California wildfires and for a variety of other global issues, and to refine this model and this vision based upon the outputs of those workshopped issues. COVID-19 would be another excellent workshop that we could work on defining solutions for, so that if there's a COVID 20 or 21, we can be prepared for it globally rather than operating in a very disorganized, fragmented, conflicted, and competitive manner. Next slide. So level 2 has two parts, part A and part B. Part A is a curator of transdisciplinary information, meaning technologists that draw in the information from level 1 and from all contributing parties and institutions, think tanks, research institutions, and governments, and integrates that information into usable formatted data for strategy development and solution development. So all stakeholders that would be contributing to this, whether in terms of funding or in terms of information or in terms of technologies or solutions or ideas or just contributed votes, all of that would be integrated in this level by these experts. These transdisciplinary data experts would receive and integrate information from all global inputs and all grassroots sources. So this would not in any way ever turn into a top-down command and control style organizational model. It would always be informed by the average human being from every global source, every nation, every culture. That balance of understanding and perspective we are lacking, sadly and sorely, in our world today. People's pain and suffering is it's not registering in the strategies and management processes of many governments, at least not adequately. This construct is designed to solve those inequities and to resolve the conflicts and to bring about collaborative, constructive results on a consistent basis. This level, part A of level 2, would allow the team or teams at that level 2 to work through and derive statistics and understandings from that data in order to evolve the social movement engine, as well as to inform strategies and as well as to inform all participants of new understandings and new information, and as well as creating solutions in the world. The AI database and engine that operates at that level would be able to generate literal research papers based on this data automatically. It's our understanding that this artificial intelligence capacity to write journal level articles simply directly from the artificial intelligence engine exists today. So this would be a mechanism of generating knowledge and distributing it to the world rapidly, rather than having it be sequestered as it currently is, knowledge sequestered in the world in universities that only the wealthier people who have enough money to purchase these papers can get. This information would be generated automatically and for free to anybody and everybody in order to inform the world as efficiently and effectively as possible and consistently as possible, so that people would be empowered with knowledge, empowered with understanding, empowered with real-time, accurate, clean, clear, true information. So this level of the system will support functional, optimized collaboration between nations and institutions that is not existent today. even in universities, there's competition between the various disciplines for resources and funding, and so there's competition even within universities or colleges today, rather than collaborative process. This mechanism is designed to transcend and resolve those pre-existing competitive tendencies and to offer a comprehensive venue for collaboration to occur on any topic by any set of groups for free. This last item. So these affiliates at this level would generate synchronized participation between collaborating folks. That synchronization of participation is a fundamental necessity in efficient organization and efficient strategizing and efficient solutions creation. Next slide. This is level 2, part A. Looks very much like level 1. The only difference is in the middle. So research information would be constructed and loaded at this level, and access to it would be managed and supported. There would be, in the yellow bubble, you see research integrator users, many different teams accessing this data and feeding it to the folks on the right side of the screen, feeding knowledge, feeding information, feeding statistics, feeding research articles to these folks, and simultaneously receiving knowledge, information, concepts, ideas, and technologies, solutions, and strategies from them, which would then inform all of the different technologies and engines on the left side. So a constant back and forth flow of information that is evolving the social movement engine, is evolving the knowledge and understanding of all of the stakeholders and participants, and creating a crucible, an evolutionary crucible here, an environment, a bubble in which understandings that are necessary for the salvation of humanity can be constructed effectively and efficiently in a well-organized way, consistently across time, and in a way that is rapidly evolutionary and rapidly scalable, meaning that it can create large-scale transformative efforts in the world, not just single nation solutions, not just Bangladesh flooding solutions. It can generate global warming solutions that operate in 100 different nations simultaneously, that implement strategies that are orchestrated across every nation simultaneously, because that's the level of problems that we're looking at right now. That's the level of our challenge, and therefore that must be the level of our solution sets and strategies that we offer the world. There must be some mechanism by which that occurs. No single nation is likely to be able to orchestrate all of that and be trusted by all other nations. Therefore, this must be an international effort, apolitical. The United Nations, again, is not structured to do that, and that's not its purview or its basic mode of function. Next slide. So part B of level 2, this is where the data that have funneled up from the lower levels, and it's been well organized by the data managers, is actually put together collaboratively by stakeholders that interact with the social movement engine in order to generate solution strategies and technologies that will then, at level 3, actually be implemented. The solutions and strategy development team, or team of teams at this level, will include WSS facilitators, meaning if people are going to learn a brand new way of collaborating as a species, they're going to need some guidance. They're also going to need facilitation on how to optimally use all of the different information sources that will be made available to them within this collaborative bubble. So they'll need facilitation, they'll need education, and they'll also need coordinative support. And the WSS facilitators would accomplish that goal. Again, without political agenda, without projection or impressing any philosophy or ideology on anybody, with non-judgment of their organizations or their nation's culture, religion, social process, political process, etc., because we're looking to create solutions. We're not, and to resolve conflict and misunderstanding. And in order for that to happen, there must be some integrative, collaborative space that is adequately supportive for those players or those stakeholders to be able to walk into this room, metaphorically speaking, and talk about their problems, talk about potential solutions, be offered technology and information, and be offered resources to make that which was previously impossible possible. So this level of the organization operates as a coordinative, collaborative communications hub. It helps people work together. It helps and supports nations and organizations to work together seamlessly, effectively, and efficiently, and consistently, and in a sustainable way. So you could have global decision makers, subject matter experts, philanthropists, think tanks, research institutions, all in the same virtual Zoom link, so to speak, within this collaborative bubble. And they would have access to whatever resources were necessary for them to transcend prior dynamics of competition, nationalism, corruption, tribal tendencies, limiting mindsets, greed-based motivations, etc., and to get into ever cleaner, more effective, efficient modes of collaboration, to leave behind the history of humanity as it is previously operated, and to invent a new way of collaborating, because we need a new way. There's an old saying that you can't get there from here. We can't get to tomorrow from where we are today. We cannot get to what needs to be in our near-term future via the mechanisms, technologies, previous dispositions, competitive dynamics, social strategies that we have been operating from. Something new must occur, and it must occur at scale globally, and it must have an effective, efficient distribution system. And we're not saying that what we're offering here is it. We're saying if it's not this, it must be something, because the alternative is potentially escalating chaos as stresses in the world increase. So this level of the organization would script the strategic application of culture, of the capabilities of the culture transformation engine. And it would utilize the facilitator's capacities to effect that. Meaning, if a culture in the world is operating in a dysfunctional way, traditionally, not wrong, not bad, they don't know how to change. If they don't know how to change, if they don't know how to transform, if they don't know how to shift into a sustainable mode of life process as a culture or as a nation, we want to offer them help. Not prescriptive help, not condescending help, not judgmental help, not diminishing of them in any way, and not in a way that is going to cause them more pain, and in a way that is validating of their life process and respectful of who they are as a people, and which also recognizes hard truth and facts about our present and future world in such a way as to allow them to change gracefully, rather than through revolution or battle or people going to their capital and breaking windows in order to bring about change, as we've currently seen in the United States. We hope that graceful change can occur, that we can let the pressure out of the global pressure cooker little by little, instead of having it erupt in violence or conflict or war or terrorism. It is feasible, it is possible. It takes collective effort, and there must be a mechanism for aligning and affecting that collective effort in our work. And we are hoping the social movement engine can generate that result. The participating entity representatives, meaning any stakeholder, any government institution, any university, any think tank, can work with prototypes. They can prototype strategies, they can prototype solutions, they can model new technologies within this collaborative environment and test them out prior to their implementation in future at level 3 of this organizational model. This approach, this strategy ensures efficient utilization of all precious resources. It ensures that there will be evaluation of strategies and solutions prior to their implementation so that they have maximal potential for effective positive results. And there's less rework, less problems downline, and so that they'll be optimally received by any cultural or national or international venue. This is an environment of constant learning and evolution of collaborative dynamics. It's a constant developmental test lab for collaboration. We're literally designing an organization to accelerate the attainment of consciousness by humanity, to accelerate the consciousness of humanity as rapidly as is feasibly possible through education, facilitation, healing of cultural wounds, reduction of conflict, resolution of misunderstanding, and reduction of negative emotional dynamics and pre-existing competitive predispositions and tendencies. So this is an environment of constant catalyzing of the participants' contribution, the catalyzing of consciousness. So, and utilizing that to create workable and sustainable solutions and strategies and project plans that can sustainably be effected in the world. It allows for testing out of many different prototype strategies before their implementations, and to use that as part of the learning model. This is a recursive learning organization. It's designed to constantly teach itself before, based on the monitoring of implemented strategies as well as its internal prototyping process. So there are many different levels and processes of organizational learning that will occur within this social movement engine, and that all of that learning will inform it how to function better, and all of that learning will be made again available to all nations so that they can learn to change and transform optimally and rapidly and effectively and harmoniously. Next slide. This is the description of part B of level 2. If we say in red in the middle that this is the collaboration and transformational bubble, this is the space of consciousness and the operational space and the collaborative space that people meet in to develop solutions, to develop and model strategies, to prototype technological solutions and social solutions. This bubble will, and it's not useful to go into all of the details of how it will operate, it will be fed by the reflections from below of output solution strategies and project plans. So once the strategies that were implemented by the social movement engine are applied in the world, all of the information will flow back up into this central bubble process, so that it will be a constantly informed process of collaboration. If a strategy fails, if it creates more problems than solutions, if it didn't have some necessary ingredient in it, these folks that are working in this collaborative bubble will be told of that. They'll understand our solution failed for this reason. We did not accomplish our goal for this reason. This solution and strategy was rejected by the culture or population or nation in which we attempted to implement it for these reasons. Therefore, our collaborative model will change, evolve, be modified, and become more intelligent rapidly as time goes by. This collaborative bubble must be supported by technology. It must be supported by facilitators. It must be supported by training of all participants, meaning proactive, preemptive training of collaborative partners must occur before they meet each other in this global commons collaborative bubble. Meaning that if they have pre-existing tendencies towards competition, towards judgmentalness, if they've got cultural wounding that's driving their decision-making or their interpretive lenses or their way of approaching potential collaboration, there must be some preemptive, proactive education for them so that they can kind of get the rules of the road for collaborating within this environment so that they can arrive at solutions faster, better, more collaboratively, intelligently, and efficiently, because we don't, as a species, have time. We don't have time to waste. We are now against the wall, so to speak, whether we look at global warming or COVID or resources dwindling or just freshwater resources becoming rapidly limited in the future. Whatever particular issue or problem you might want to focus on in the world, we don't have time to dawdle or to sit around and contemplate perhaps someday working together. We must create an environment for collaboration, and simultaneously we must create the capacity to collaborate wisely, intelligently, consciously, intentionally, and consistently. This mechanism is designed to create such an environment, a support environment, so that there can be a brand new way of collaborating designed, evolved, and refined constantly. And so that mode of collaboration can then be distributed globally to all peoples, all nations, a new way of working together, consciously, efficiently, effectively, that leaves behind the limitations of traditional human life process, the tendencies for personal profit, the tendencies to be competitive, the tendencies to fear and mistrust, the tendencies to project the past onto the present and onto the future and thus limit possibility. All of those must be learned through and out of, and all the participants on the right side of this list, the research institutions, universities, and governments, etc., would all be schooled, if you will, in the basic understandings of how to collaborate in a transdisciplinary environment efficiently, effectively, and to arrive at goals in a succinct way, in a sustainable way. So this would be a constantly churning process that is constantly evolving. Now we're going to go to level 3, which is the highest level. It's the implementation level. It's all of the strategies that are developed in level 2 and all of the prototyped solutions and technologies will feed that level. And it will be the implementation level of solutions to problems globally at any scale and level, involving any technology, any degree of complexity, and any level of resource application, whether it's money or energy or fuel or knowledge or raw materials. So level 3 has hands-on experts on strategy implementation and logistical orchestration and project management and execution. It has strategic and tactical program and project management personnel and capacity to execute those projects and plans within its group of participants, meaning there are project managers and there are participants in each of the nations in which solutions and strategies are implemented. They need to work hand in hand. They need to work collaboratively, intelligently, efficiently. So these folks at this level would work with them in a coordinated and orchestrated way to apply strategies and solutions in many different national and international venues simultaneously. This level implements directly and through all affiliated entities and stakeholders, meaning that it's a very direct route of application of strategies and solutions into different national and international venues. It works directly with not-for-profits and for-profit organizations. It works directly with universities and research institutions to effect the strategies and project plans and solutions of all sorts in the world. This level manages all resources utilized in the strategies and solutions effectively and efficiently. It monitors the entire process of implementation of those strategies and solutions and gets feedback on all of them on a real-time basis. So, and stores that data internal to the social movement engine. So it's constantly learning from every implementation of every solution and every solution strategy that it produces. So every level of the solutions management engine is learning from the grassroots information inputs, and from all of the stakeholders' inputs, and from all of the implementation strategies and solutions implementations wherever they're applied in the world. Every level learns in sync with every other level. I apologize for yammering on and on. And I know this is a lot, and I apologize. Hopefully we're making sense so far. Do you have questions at this time?
Hi, John. I was wondering, for the best of my ability, I've been trying to bring this forth in my little microcosm of work, and have been doing my best for conscious collaboration within that team. And then also just at times feeling like a little chick inside of an egg trying to bust out of the control that is and the status quo inertia around that. And just using all my strength to not to submit to the control of the consensus consciousness and consciously collaborate. And I was wondering if you had any advice in regards to that.
Yes. First, existing organizational, corporate, and whether for-profit or not-for-profit processes and governmental processes are operating within the tribalized inertia and consensus conscious process of traditional humanity. They're not designed to change. They're not designed to transform. They're not designed to become conscious. They're not designed to operate at scale. That has not been the human life species process throughout human history. Therefore, people are feeling constrained. They recognize there are problems, and they're being pushed back against by the inertia of historical, traditional team process and organizational process. They're limited, and it's frustrating and pain-producing. If from within, there are very few options of how to address such dynamics because of pre-existing ego dynamics, tribal dynamics, fear of change dynamics, and ignorance, simple ignorance, and existing competitive dynamics that try to keep people in specific channels of work and efforting and creative capacity. That's why we suggest the social movement engine, because it gives the option of creating an entirely new paradigm that can be handed in total to an organization and all the teams in an organization, or two institutions or two governments, that say, if you are at point A in your current evolutionary or developmental process, and you want to get to point X, Y, or Z very rapidly, this is a defined, workable path by which you can accomplish that. Everybody in your group or your organizational process can increase efficiency, increase effectiveness, increase co-creative capacity, increase optimal communications, diminish competition, diminish rework, diminish the challenges and conflicts of misunderstanding and simple ignorance. The entire recipe must be offered to everybody. If we give dribs and drabs, ideas, one idea here or there, instead of a complete solution, you don't get a comprehensive transformation. You get a very sporadic, staccato kind of evolutionary process that is ever more frustrating, ever more challenging. And we fiddle while Rome burns, or we dance and listen to the music on the Titanic while it heads to the iceberg. The social movement engine is designed to create a new navigational system and radar for the Titanic to help it recognize where the icebergs are before we get there, to change course efficiently and effectively, allow the people to get to continue dancing to whatever music they prefer, and have a sustainable future for humanity all at the same time. I don't know if we answered any part of your question.
Yes, thank you.
Quite welcome. Other comments, questions, thoughts? Again, our development and implementation window is between the next within the next 2 to 4 years. The hope is that all levels of this construct can occur within and be in place within 3. Our current moment of world process is creating a scenario where action must be taken. Constructive action, collaborative action, orchestrated action, intelligent action, and well-informed action, and of course at global scale. So level 3 of this organizational model applies innovative and evolving approaches to implementation strategies and project plans. It provides education and facilitation for all stakeholders and entities that are affected by the strategies implementations and the solutions implementations in order to raise their consciousness, raise their understanding, improve efficiencies, diminish resistance to transformation, to help people recognize the benefit of global transformation and of solutions implementations, and also to allow for their feedback. We're happy that you facilitated us in this way with this solution or this technology or this strategy, and we're unhappy that you did this, this, and this. So that is an ongoing dialogue. Nothing would ever be imprinted upon or impressed upon anybody. These would be offered solutions and offered strategies, and governments and cultures would have the option of receiving them or not. This level collaborates, coordinates, orchestrates, and manages implementations of collaborative strategies and project plans with all of the participating entities and stakeholders. It reconciles implementation conflicts, problems, and misunderstandings constantly. The WSS facilitators' participation would ensure smooth, efficient communication, synchronized collaboration, shared understanding amongst all stakeholders and participants, ongoing synchronized collective learning, and attainment of collective consensus, attainment of consensus on the part of all parties and entities and stakeholders, and alignment of their intentions preemptively and proactively. This level feeds all collected implementation data and results into the solutions and strategies development team databases for strategy and project postmortems for organizational learning. And again, that information would be redistributed globally, and to further inform and evolve the integrator research team level process, level 2A, so that that level that collects the information and organizes it for development of strategies, they would be able to do their jobs better by what they learned from the implementation postmortems. This level feeds information back to the social movement management team to inform contributing social movement constituents to further mobilize their participation in strategy implementations. So if it was determined that Bangladesh needed a specific type of support for their preparation for movement of their population to other nations, and there were social movements that were working to help them, and level 3 was implementing strategies and solutions and technologies to bring that about, and they were in mid-process of helping the Bangladeshis move. That process, that information would be distributed to all social movement constituents and participants so that they could coordinate and orchestrate their activities efficiently and effectively, the monies and technologies that they were applying, all the human effort and expertise, so that they could ensure that the Bangladeshis got moved from wherever they're currently living into another country in a smooth and effortless way, and in a way that did not create a problem or a conflict within that new culture. Next slide. So this is the level 3 implementation teams level. The implementation process would be coordinative and orchestrative with all of the institutions listed on the right and more. It would access all of the different database engines and technologies on the left during the implementations of the strategies and the solutions. It would facilitate orchestration and collaboration. Any software and technology that was required to bring that about would be created and developed and evolved and made available for free to all participants. It would manage the strategy and solutions implementations, logistics and communications, and funding processes and education processes. It would interface with all the different systems of governance in order to ensure everyone was on the same page. It would ensure that any implementation strategies and solutions mapped well to existing cultures and were tailored specifically to be received by them optimally and by the existing political systems. And it would ensure the reduction of conflict and stress within those environments as transformational strategies and solutions were implemented, so that everyone was on the same page, everyone understood what was happening, why it was happening, how they fit into the process of transformation, who they are as a role, and also to ensure that everybody that was participating recognized they had a voice, that there was a process, there was a plan, it was well organized, it was efficient, it was effective, and it was also receptive to their feedback. If it was failing in some way, there would be a feedback mechanism for them to say, your implementation of this solution in this culture in this nation is failing because of ... We're upset about this. You're not doing this and we want you to do it, or you are doing this and we don't want you to do it. And this is why. So this whole system, all three levels, is constantly receiving feedback from the environment and constructively applying it in order to shift its process and evolve and refine its process, so that when it creates solutions, they're the best solutions that can be created. And even the best solutions can be constantly evolved and refined and improved with a great degree of discipline and integrity. And this system is designed to remain integrous, to not get co-opted, to not get bought out, to not get moved into some special interest agenda, and not to be defined by any particular corporation or nation or cultural process. Next slide. So, how the three levels of the social movement engine interact and support each other. And by the way, we get that what we're saying is big. We get that we're throwing a massive amount of information to you at this moment. We understand that it might not all be landing in this moment. We're hoping that this recording, if it's viewed more than once, would allow all of the pieces of this puzzle to be put together seamlessly and to make sense and be validatable and acceptable and recognized to have validity and potential in our world. If we're failing in that way, please tell us now. We want to refine our communication, our messaging, and our process. We want to bring about solutions effectively, efficiently, and in the near term. So your feedback from this call will help us to reformat our communications, reformat our messaging, improve our process. We're here to serve. We're here to serve you. We're here to serve everyone in the world. We hope we can do that with humility and integrity. So again, on this slide, how the three levels of the social movement engine interact and support each other. The social movement management team, the level one, collects, manages, we're going over it again in summary. It collects and manages and stores quality, clean, anonymized data inputs from grassroots users and contributors to support all of the other social movement engine levels and functions and operational capacities. With the help of internal skilled collaboration facilitators from the WSS, we're educating folks constantly already for free in our team of teams in support of this capacity for this organization to occur in the future. This team or team of teams manages the evolution of social movements, contributor relationships, education of any and all of humanity that choose to interact with the social movement engine. It manages development, coordination, mobilization, and collaboration and funding efforts for social movements. And it then feeds this data to the artificially intelligent engine and the researcher level of the process, level 2A, which we've described earlier. Level 2A, the integrator researcher team prepares and maintains all of the information and data that has been contributed at level 1 and which has been integrated into the artificial intelligence engine. And it maintains integrously this transdisciplinary database from all other SME operational levels that feed into it, as well as from all external inputs. And it supports access to this data by all collaborating entities. So it refines the data, massages the data, organizes the data, summarizes the data, creates statistics from the data so that collaboration can be optimally supported by all participants and all collaborating entities. It keeps the data true, accurate, up to date, and optimally, decisionally, and developmentally utilizable by all participating entities and stakeholders. Next slide. How the 3 levels of the social movement engine interact constantly and support each other continued. Level 2B, the solutions and strategy development team. This is the solutions and strategy prototyping team that develops solutions, technologies, and implementation strategies to then be handed off to level 3 implementers. This team includes internal WSS facilitators that collaborate with and support and facilitate representatives from all affiliated entities to work together intelligently and efficiently. So these would include processes of accessing strategy building information and techniques and technologies and methods and information and actual collaboration building. And it would also facilitate the working with decisional data between collaborative entities and players and stakeholders. It would facilitate collaborative communications. It would help participating entity representatives to work together to prototype solutions and model solutions and to develop technologies and tools for transformation of the global process into a new and more sustainable life process for humanity. This level facilitates effective real-time collective teamwork and collaboration. It catalyzes participants' capacity to arrive at the generation of workable and sustainable solutions and strategies and project plans that they would then hand off to level 3, the implementation team level. The implementation team level collaborates with, coordinates with, orchestrates, and manages implementations of collaborative strategy and project plans, and it monitors the progress and process and has defined standards and metrics to determine, are we succeeding? How well are we succeeding? What are the problems? How efficiently and effectively are we operating in our implementation of strategies and solutions? The social movement engine facilitators would participate with them and then again, ensure smooth, efficient communications and collaboration, synchronization of efforts, synchronized learning, and attainment of collective consensus amongst stakeholders and participants. Level 3 feeds all information and data from the results of these solutions and strategy team efforts into the database for postmortem evaluation, which would then be distributed to all constituents. There would be complete visibility on the part of all constituents, all stakeholders, and all collaborative participants. It would tell them, this is the effect of our collaborative efforts. This is how we can improve our collaborative process to create more efficient, effective strategies and results. Next slide. This is another overview that you can study at your leisure of the social movement engine. The keys in this diagram that are useful to be aware of are the 3 main inputs into the level 1 that you can see in the 3 boxes at the bottom. So we've got what might be termed, if we could scroll down just a bit, Okay, we've got what might be termed super user interfaces and inputs of problem definitions. Now that could be research institutions, universities, subject matter experts, educational entities of all kinds, could be adding data into the list, the problems list, so to speak, into the voting end of this overall mechanism. Global users from any source could offer ideas and list issues and list optional solutions that they've come up with from all societies. There would be inputs of global situation reports, data, and listings of detailed information about existing problems in any social or national venue that would help to inform the AI engine for solutions production. That's all right. If we go to the center of the diagram, there. This is basically level 2A and 2B. We're showing the inputs into that level on the left side. Collaborative, this level would have what would be termed a collaborative user platform interface, set of tools and mechanisms that could be used to communicate and collaborate between the various users. It would have a communications interface to all external contributors and technologists, and it would be supported by staff at this level to achieve those goals. It would have inputs from various existing philanthropic organizations, crowdsource funding sources, and existing contributors. On the right side, we've got strategically defined media channels, focused information campaigns, strategies, and planned dissemination mechanisms. Ongoing social movement monitoring, support communications, and coordination of efforts and resources and management of movements. All of that would be outputs of this central database. All of that would be supported by this central database. There'd be user interfaces and coordinative interfaces that would allow for ongoing conversation and coordination of efforts with governmental institutions, not-for-profits, and research institutions and for-profit organizations. I apologize for speaking as fast as I can. We've only got 2 hours to communicate all of this as fast as we can. Next slide. Next slide. So the suggested strategy moving forward from this point for the social movement engine development is to clearly define the deeper strategy, technology, and organizational model and paradigm and plan for this organizational construct, and to communicate that, to develop a set of global transformational strategies for existing organizations, cultures, and national cultures, meaning that organizational cultures need to transform and evolve into more sustainable forms, and national cultures need to transform into more sustainable forms. There need to be generic transformational educational approaches and materials created in order to inform these folks. How do you create a more sustainable world? How do you change your organization or your nation or your culture in order to create a sustainable world? We are in the process now of developing our IT team and our AI understandings and experience in order to generate the necessary infrastructure that we're aiming to create within the next 2 to 3 years. We are working to build relationships and to collaborate with in near term with transdisciplinary educational systems, research institutions, and all required expert resources, not-for-profits and governmental institutions and think tanks. We're strategizing to attain that goal. We recognize that the inputs from all of those different institutions and organizations will inform this model's evolution and are necessary for it to be accomplished in the most effective way. We may choose to develop the social movement engine in an open source code software environment so that it can be crowdsourced developed. We're looking at that as a possibility. We're also looking at the possibility of developing it strictly in-house for a wide variety of reasons. We want to be sure that its integrity is maintained from beginning through all evolutionary phases. We intend to utilize and leverage past models of success and organizational development from any venue, from any organization that's ever operated, any model, any technique, any method. We're willing to integrate it into this process as long as it arrives at the mission and vision that we've defined for the WSS organization. And there are many excellent techniques, technologies, and methods that already exist in the world, and it's important to leverage those. Simultaneously, it's important not to be limited by their current evolution. We want to generate funding and receive financial contributions to build all of the social movement engine. We want to build the social movement engine in its entirety in ongoing collaboration with potential users that represent all of the different levels of the organizational social movement engine model, or will be represented in it. So we want to be informed by these potential users. We want to build it in that way in order to attain their buy-in and recognize the functional requirements that will be required to support their efforts, their intentions, their needs and preferences. And their inputs will continue to refine all of it. We want to implement the social movement engine in its entirety in a fully formed way, meaning that we don't have time to develop this in a piecemeal fashion. We don't have time to prototype pieces of it in multiple organizational environments. It must arrive fully formed, such as a child with all of the organs in the body, the heart, lungs, kidneys, and liver, and all of its fingers and toes, so to speak. Doing it in a piecemeal or an iteratively evolved fashion we don't see as feasible and attainable in our current situation due to lack of time, resources, and environmental degradation that's occurring quite rapidly, whether it's political, economic, COVID, or social, or environmental, climate change, etc. So our intention is to build this in its entirety and to rapidly scale it and evolve it. And that is our approach and strategy. We're open to all comments, ideas, thoughts, concepts, and contributions in that regard to inform our strategy. We do not claim to know it all. We understand what we understand. We're asking by all people who would hear this message, please inform us, please guide us, please support us. We ask that in humility. We ask that in service to all of humanity. We ask that in a heartfelt wish for our species to continue and to evolve into joy, and to do so gracefully, and to create a future for all of humanity, for future generations, and to do so in a way that is loving, kind, and caring towards our natural environment. It doesn't waste resources. It doesn't limit the possibility of human potential. And we recognize that can only occur with the contribution of all of humanity. So any comments, thoughts after this presentation, please do present them. We want to hear from you. We thank you for your time today. The rest of the time up until the hour will be for discussion and question and answer, if you folks would be open to that. And this is the contact information for the WSS, wssnow.org, and also connect@wssnow.org. We have an orientation team that can receive your communications, or if you want to participate in any way, learn more about the organization, learn more about our mission and vision, learn more about how you can contribute or participate or be part of the team of teams, and or develop educational materials that are transformative in nature for humanity, as a free contribution for the future of our species, please do contact us. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your kindness and your tolerance and your patience. We recognize that this has been quite a discussion, and it's a lot to take in. We get that. This communication was designed specifically to be able to compact all three levels of description of the social movement engine into a single video. Again, the other videos, level 1, level 2, leading to this level 3 description, we hope can be informative and facilitative of being able to make better sense of what we've communicated today. If we failed in that regard, we apologize preemptively and proactively. So if you folks would feel comfortable, this is a recorded conversation. If you do feel like making comments at this time or asking questions, please do.
It seems like you're going to need an army of people, boots on the ground, so to speak, after this becomes established. It's almost as difficult as establishing a new religion to make the kinds of changes that the world needs to have done.
We agree with you, and that is a main reason for we're trying to do 1,000 different things simultaneously. We want to support existing social movements. We also want to create that army of social movement participants, people that can work together, people that have shared interest and intentions and positive, constructive, loving approaches to how we can change and evolve and sustain our world. They need a mechanism by which they can collaborate, a mechanism by which their efforts can be orchestrated, a mechanism by which their efforts can manifest change in the world in a consistent, effective, efficient way. We get that. Right now, there are many different tools that are available in our world, such as Zoom, which allows people like today on this conversation to communicate at distance around the world. There's also Microsoft Teams, which is allowing people to work together in a teaming sort of way on shared projects. There are many, many more technologies that are likely in the pipeline and which will be available to us in the near future. That said, we want to utilize any and every technology and invent, manifest, create new technologies and new collaborative environments that are far more empowering than these that we've just listed. It's great to be able to talk together. If we were working together and we had access to any data that we needed, any research that we needed, any statistics that we needed, any communication with any world expert that we needed, or any leader in the world, if we had an online environment in which those directories were available to collaborating participants so they could say, we need to get to a solution, we need to get to an agreement, and we need these ingredients. They're available to us through this mechanism. Bring them in. We have immediate access. We're very efficient. We're very effective. We're getting the job done. We're generating results, solutions, and strategies in a very rapid way and in a way that is optimally inclusive of all of humanity. That alignment of humanity is now possible. It's never been possible before. And now it is technologically possible, and because the internet has been around now for a few years and people have gotten used to being connected, it's now feasible to align humanity in common purpose for common good. And there must be an organizing mechanism and process and technology and ideology that brings that to fruition, that helps people understand what they're now capable of and that empowers them consistently. This model is the first suggestion that we've heard of so far that would accomplish all of those multidimensional goals and necessary capacities. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Well, it's got to be communicated to all the world's institutions and teaching groups and colleges and organizations. And I think sometimes it has to, first of all, be done on a one-to-one communication basis.
We agree. We're hoping that this third of the 3 video series that we're creating now today can be the start of such a collaborative, coordinated conversation and dialogue. that we can at least offer the DNA of the possibility of that orchestrated, collaborative, species level effort, and have it recognized that it is possible. And as soon as we recognize it is possible, as soon as we recognize it's necessary and beneficial, then it becomes possible. Then people can put their shoulder to the wheel. They can say, we get that that is the star we need to follow. That is the direction we need to go as a collective. That is the antidote to our pain and suffering. That is the solution to the problems. That is a sustainable way forward for our humanity as a whole. And therefore, it is relevant, it is real, it is practical, it is achievable. And everything from that moment on is just details. Everything from that moment on is just bringing it into manifest reality. So this is the mission, this is the vision, this is an optional model for collaboration, optional model of technological and orchestrated infrastructure, and an optional model for learning and learning how to change, learning how to learn in new ways, learning how to transform the world, learning how to attain consciousness and conscious collaboration at scale globally. It's necessary. We have realized that. We're open to people arguing that point. It is our perspective that this is necessary now and will be ever more necessary as the world becomes far more complex in the future. The degree of complexity of the problems of the world has escalated dramatically in the last 30 years. It's going to get more complex fast. We must have a mechanism of handling that degree of complexity of problems and life process on our planet, and competitive dynamics of for-profit organizations are not going to do it. There is no technology on the boards right now that's going to solve global problems without changing global human consciousness. We could have the best AI in the world. We can have free energy that was limitless. And if we don't change the human tendency to compete and fight and battle and hate, if we don't have a way to address those core primal and tribal tendencies effectively, efficiently, and at scale globally, we'll just empower our own destruction. If you give free energy to hateful people, they're going to use it in hateful ways, potentially. If you give artificial intelligence and cyber weapons to people that have not resolved their conflicts and their misunderstandings, their ignorance, or their pain and suffering, they're likely to utilize that weaponry. All of that's going to be available in the very near future to a lot of people. The question is, how will we apply it? How will we meet that technology transformation that may not involve and generate social human transformation and transformation of consciousness, so that we learn how to work together peacefully? And we have a way to learn how to work together peacefully, consistently, for the long term, for the next 100 or 1,000 years. We must teach ourselves. We must learn from each other and teach each other, and be open to learning from each other and open to teaching each other. That's the intention behind the social movement engine. That's the intention behind the WSS process. And we see it can be affected in the world. We absolutely have faith that it will be affected in the world. And we ask for the contributions of anyone and everyone that hears this message in achieving that goal. Please, for humanity's sake, for our natural world's sake, offer ideas, offer thoughts, offer arguments, offer condemnation if necessary, if it's going to inform us. We're open to all communications. We respect your opinions. We respect your expertise. We respect your contributions. We respect your free will process of positive intention in its application in this world. other thoughts, comments, questions? Looks like we may have finished with 2 minutes to spare. We've been trying to pack 10 pounds of information into a 2-hour bag. So we thank you, folks. God bless you for taking the time to listen and to participate. We appreciate you. We appreciate your kind intentions and your patience and tolerance in talking about all of this. We know it's a lot, and we hope that it's useful and beneficial to you. God bless you.
I thank you for all of your effort.
Thank you, John.
You're quite welcome. Absolutely welcome and deserving. Thank you.
Much, John.
Thank you. So please have a great day and thanks again.